Welcome back, Manchester United fans. Big transfer updates are coming in from Old Trafford. From a reported £125 million double deal involving Ederson to the latest twist in Marcus Rashford's Barcelona future, there's plenty to discuss. We'll also cover Jarrod Bowen's stance on United, the secret genius in Michael Carrick's coaching staff, and why a £3.3 million signing is still waiting for his debut. Make sure to watch until the end and don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on notifications for all the latest Manchester United news. Next Man United transfer decided as Ederson joined in double deal worth £125 million. Manchester United could bolster their ranks with the acquisition of a star asset of a Premier League rival. Manchester United are keen to strengthen their midfield this summer, and the signing of Newcastle star Sandro Tonali could prove to be a game changer. Michael Carrick recently put pen to paper on a 2-year contract to become the club's new permanent head coach, following an impressive interim spell at Old Trafford. He is now firmly focused on transforming United into a side capable of mounting a serious challenge for both the Premier League and the Champions League. Central to those ambitions is United's engine room, with Casemiro set to depart Old Trafford this summer. The club have already conceded defeat in their pursuit of Elliot Anderson, but have made considerable headway in securing long-term target Ederson from Atalanta, while West Ham's Matheus Fernandes has also been linked with a move. However, reports emerging from Italy suggest Tonali is on his way to United, with the club reportedly prepared to splash out around £87 million to land the Newcastle midfielder. The United hierarchy are said to be unfazed by the hefty price tag attached to the former Milan man. Tonali joined Newcastle for £55 million in July 2023. He remains under contract at St James's Park until the summer of 2029, with an option to extend by a further 12 months. According to FOTMob, the Italian ranks highly in successful passes and dribbling this season. He has also made an impressive 147 ball recoveries, particularly noteworthy in a disappointing campaign when Newcastle have frequently found themselves under pressure. Tonali has netted 10 goals in 110 outings for the Magpies, operating predominantly centrally or deeper as the side's holding midfielder. He would also bring a wealth of Premier League know-how to Carrick's midfield, a significant advantage for any prospective recruit. The player's representative, Giuseppe Rizzo, has been outspoken regarding a possible departure for Tonali this year, insisting his client's future can be addressed after the World Cup. Nevertheless, with Italy failing to qualify, Tonali should encounter little postponement concerning his future. United acted swiftly to secure Matheus Cunha last summer and ought to look at tying the 26-year-old down to a contract before the chaos of the summer transfer window truly begins. It remains unclear how Anthony Gordon's £69.3 million switch to Barcelona will affect Newcastle's determination, with the Magpies having also lost star player Alexander Isak to Liverpool last summer. Newcastle manager Eddie Howe recently insisted the club will have a powerful voice in the destiny of their prized assets. He said, "We were in a more vulnerable position than we are now. Ross Wilson, football executive at Newcastle, has filled that position and is showing really good leadership dealing with transfers and all the things that entails. We are in a stronger position now to navigate those waters in a much calmer, clearer way." Tonali could follow the arrival of Atalanta's Brazilian international Ederson. The midfielder was omitted from the Serie A club's final fixture of the season to shield him from injury amid United's growing interest. United are believed to be edging closer to securing a deal with a package valued at up to £38 million. Ederson is not anticipated to be a straight swap for Casemiro, but is set to jump ahead of Manuel Ugarte in the pecking order, with the former PSG star available for transfer this summer. United's midfield ambitions stretch further still. The club are hopeful of making another marquee signing in the position, with Tonali the standout option to follow Ederson through the door and take the summer spending to £125 million. Arne Slot sacking at Liverpool has Manchester United fans laughing, but it could be bad news. Liverpool have parted ways with manager Arne Slot, but the decision could be bad news for Man United next season. Manchester United did the double over Liverpool in the 2025/26 Premier League season, for the first time in 10 years. The Reds also finished above their fierce rivals for the first time since 2022/23. Liverpool's struggles have brought joy to United fans who revelled in their slide again on Saturday when it was announced that Arne Slot had been sacked. It's worth reading Liverpool's official club statement because the wording is unusual. That this was a difficult decision for us to make as a club goes without saying, it read. The contribution Arne has made to Liverpool FC in the time that he has been with us has been significant, meaningful, and, most importantly of all to supporters and ourselves, successful. As such, our appreciation for everything he has achieved could not be greater, particularly as it was underpinned by a work ethic, a diligence, and a level of expertise which further underlined our view that he is a leader in his field. It goes on to reference how the club immediately identified that Slot embraces responsibility and how his title win in his maiden season in England was built on outstanding coaching and leadership every single day. But if Liverpool thought so highly of Slot, why has he been sacked? The statement reads like Liverpool aren't convinced by their own decision. The truth is, United fans would have preferred Slot to have remained in charge, given the signs of weakness at Anfield this season. Liverpool went from Premier League champions to just about scraping into the Champions League in the space of 12 months. Liverpool fans said they had won the transfer window when they splashed £225 million on Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz last summer. But that prize yielded a combined total of 8 Premier League goals. Slot spent a vast sum of money in the market to build his own squad, but somehow made Liverpool worse, so his departure could be considered as bad news for United, who probably would have had a better chance of finishing above their rivals again if he'd remained in charge. The chances are Liverpool will benefit from a change of manager and become a bigger threat to United next season. Jarrod Bowen's West Ham embarrassment, transfer statement and Man United feelings. Jarrod Bowen could be tempted by a Premier League return following West Ham's relegation to the Championship, but if the misery of relegation wasn't enough, West Ham now face the very real prospect of losing skipper Jarrod Bowen this summer. Manchester United are reportedly amongst the clubs chasing the Hammers captain, with Liverpool and Chelsea also said to be keen, according to The Guardian. The East London club are braced to offload several of their key players, with relegation expected to slash £100 million from their revenues. The England star has been one of the most productive wingers in the top flight in recent years, and despite his well-known affection for West Ham, the lure of returning to the Premier League will undoubtedly prove a tempting proposition. Bowen's contract runs until 2030, yet clubs will likely be able to drive down his price tag, given the Hammers' pressing need for funds. United are gearing up for Champions League football, and reinforcements in their attacking ranks would certainly be welcomed by Michael Carrick. The 29-year-old could equally be enticed by the prospect of playing in Europe's premier club competition for the first time. Such a transfer may well be understood by a significant portion of West Ham supporters, given he contributed 20 goals and assists this season while part of a struggling side. However, Bowen would be rowing back on his post-match remarks after beating Leeds 3-2-0, where he suggested he'd remain in the Championship to help propel West Ham back up. He said, "I'm under contract here. I've been here 6.5 years. I've had some really high moments, and this is a low moment that will outweigh everything. There's going to be rumours. There's going to be talk. Ultimately, what I see is getting this club back in the Premier League, because that is where it deserves to be." Bowen expanded on his emotions surrounding West Ham's relegation in an extensive Instagram post, but fell short of confirming what part he might play in their bid to reclaim their Premier League status. He wrote, "It's hard to post something like this when all you're feeling is embarrassment and pain. I could write loads trying to explain where it all went wrong this season, but honestly, what you deserve from me is an apology. Winning that trophy in Prague was the best night of my career. Sunday was the worst. We just weren't good enough. Simple as that, and that's why the season ended the way it did. To the fans, you didn't let us down once. The support, home and away, never changed, even when things weren't good enough from us on the pitch. We should have given you more, you deserved more. One thing I know about this club is that it has the desire and fight to bounce back from this. This club belongs in the Premier League and deserves to be back there as soon as possible. A transfer to Manchester would fulfil Bowen's childhood dream of representing the club he supported as a youngster, having revealed as much back in 2022. His affection for the club stemmed from his admiration of David Beckham, with Sky Sports previously sharing a photo of Bowen as a child sporting Beckham's iconic number 7 England shirt. The winger said, "I followed Manchester United a bit growing up as well, but I think I more followed him because I thought he was cool." Him growing up, me supporting Manchester United, trying to copy him with that picture, and as soon as I got sent it, I knew it was going out. Marcus Rashford sends 3-word message as Barcelona deal leaves Man United star in limbo. Marcus Rashford has posted a message as his future at Manchester United remains unclear, with his loan spell at Barcelona coming to an end. Marcus Rashford has vowed to keep moving forward as his dream move appeared to be shattered this weekend. The Manchester United star was hoping to make his move to Barcelona permanent, but their £69 million signing of Anthony Gordon has plunged his future into uncertainty. Rashford spent the entire campaign on loan at the Camp Nou from United, having made clear his wish to depart Old Trafford last summer. The England international put in an outstanding season at Barca, netting 14 goals and laying on 14 assists across all competitions, with such displays earning him a spot in Thomas Tuchel's squad for this summer's World Cup. Yet Rashford's future remains up in the air as the summer transfer window edges closer. The 28-year-old featured in the final match of his loan spell with Barcelona earlier this month, and it remains to be seen where he will be plying his trade next season. Barcelona hold the option of signing Rashford on a permanent basis for £26 million this summer, but are running out of time to activate that clause before it expires. Amid the continuing uncertainty surrounding his future, Rashford took to social media to post a message. The United loanee shared a series of pictures on Instagram to his 22.2 million followers of himself going through an individual training session, accompanied by a 3-word caption which read, "Keep it moving." What Barcelona have planned for Rashford's future this summer remains to be seen, particularly after already spending big money on Gordon from Newcastle United. Gordon officially became a Barcelona player on Friday, with the England international making the move to the Camp Nou from St James's Park in a deal reported to be worth €80 million, £69.3 million. Barcelona's decision to sign Gordon has cast doubt over whether they will now look to bring Rashford back on a permanent basis, with both players typically lining up in the same position on the pitch. Reports have also emerged suggesting Barcelona are eyeing a free transfer move for Bernardo Silva, with the Portugal international departing Manchester City this summer. A report in Spanish publication Sport claimed that should Barcelona pursue a move for Silva, they would subsequently opt against pushing for a permanent deal for Rashford this summer. Were that to happen, it would leave United facing a significant decision over Rashford's future, one that could involve seeking another club for the forward or reintegrating him into the first-team squad under head coach Michael Carrick. Champions League finalists Arsenal are one of several clubs to be linked with the forward in recent weeks. Manchester United have a secret weapon in Michael Carrick's backroom staff. He's a genius. Steve Holland has been hugely influential behind the scenes at Man United since he joined Michael Carrick's backroom staff. Steve Holland was the first Manchester United staff member to disappear down the tunnel after the final home game of the season. Holland applauded supporters before heading back to the dressing room. The 56-year-old deliberately avoided the spotlight. He has not courted media attention during his career, but his work as Michael Carrick's assistant has been hugely important at Carrington over the last 5 months. He has an aura about him, explained Alan Russell, who worked closely with Holland for England's national team for 4 years. Because you know he could cut you down. And that's not because he's nasty, that's just because he doesn't take anyone's monies. There are just a handful of interviews with Holland online, but his former colleagues can offer insight into a coaching figure they all revere, someone who they hold in the highest regard. He is a genius. The way I work and coach now, 75% of it is because of Steve Holland, Russell told the Manchester Evening News. The way he works to prepare sessions, to deliver sessions, to debrief sessions, the way he communicates with staff and communicates with players. Michael Carrick is so lucky, and he chose so wisely with Steve. He's such a loyal, professional person, and his attention to detail. I remember when I first went into England, I saw Steve coaching. I thought, How does this guy remember all this stuff on the training field? Although neither Carrick nor Jason Wilcox had worked with Holland before, sources have said they were drawn to him because of his vast experience and success in supporting interim managers. Carrick has described Holland as a very wise man, and the pair communicated constantly during games in a run that saw United qualify for the Champions League with 3 games to spare. Russell grew close to Holland during his stint as England's attacking and set-piece coach. His ability to dip in at the right time and relay his message is amazing, he said of Holland's in-game management. At the 2018 World Cup, I would go upstairs with the analysts in the first half, so I could come down at half-time with 3 key in-possession and 3 key out-of-possession points to present. I used to say, honestly, there's no point in us doing this because Steve would have spotted it anyway. There's no point in me writing these things on this board. Steve will have seen it 5 minutes before we saw it. Gareth would look at the board straight away and he would agree, and Steve would agree, because there were always good points I would make, but he had his own little notepad, and that's the strength of the man. He would take on board what you'd seen, but his eye and his experience throughout the years, you would just never question what he sees. You just wouldn't. Not from an egotistical standpoint, just from his knowledge and ability to relay information with the right tone. Travis Binion, part of Carrick's coaching staff, sits with the analysts during United's matches, and Holland has been spotted walking alongside Carrick with his notepad in hand when the whistle goes for half-time. Harry Maguire has praised Holland for drilling basics into United's players at Carrington, while Mason Mount has described him as a special person with a football brain and a lot of experience. Holland's message is said to be simple but highly effective. You don't see that often, Russell said. There are too many coaches these days who try to sugarcoat and add intelligence levels to things that don't have to be there. Steve is not of that era. He is not of that dynamic as a person. His ability to communicate what needs to be communicated without adding extra around that is his strength. But he always does it in such a respectful manner. He is very, very respectful. He's been in the game so long that he doesn't need to listen to all that people talk. He can cut through the smoke in any room and give you the most powerful message. And I love him. I genuinely love him. I think he's incredible. Russell described Holland as the biggest mentor in his career, but admitted he had to prove himself when he first joined England's coaching staff. Steve is a very professional and private person, he said. You don't get allowed into his inner circle easily. When I first met him, I was an unknown coach at the time in comparison to what he'd achieved in his career. So he had every right to be apprehensive. I worked on being professional and very detailed on what I did. And ultimately, I knew that I would eventually almost win him over, him and Gareth. Russell continued, Steve has his ways of working and people know not to interfere. I grew really close to him during the Russia World Cup because we'd go down to the training ground before everyone else. He's a really quiet person, but a very powerful and intelligent thinker. He's my biggest influence in the game when it comes to behaviours, thought patterns and thought processes. He is very analytical, but also very logical. That is what makes him so powerful. Steve has the ability to use all of his experience with the top managers he's worked with, his experience with all of the players that he's worked with, and the messages that come out of his mouth will always be the most simple, powerful and concise message that a player can receive. Southgate delegated coaching during his England tenure, but sources have confirmed that United training sessions involve Carrick providing tactical coaching with close support from Holland and Binion overseeing the early stages to build sharpness. Holland has been described by a source as a bit more reserved in comparison to first-team coaches Jonathan Woodgate and Johnny Evans, and has been known to be an authority figure at the right times. United believe Carrick's coaching staff have the perfect blend of skill sets and personalities. He will bring stability and simplicity to Michael and his coaching staff and the club as a whole, explained Russell. He will provide a tactical communication style that will ultimately cut through the noise and deliver the most powerful message, tactically and technically, at that point. He will provide loyalty, a powerful aura and personality to the club that I feel has been lacking. Albeit he's not the main voice, he's got a different personality from Michael. But when Steve comes into the room listens because of the knowledge behind him, because of how he communicates. So I just think Hell brings a powerful stability. Holland spent several successful years at Chelsea, working with the likes of Jose Mourinho, Rafael Benitez, Roberto Di Matteo and Antonio Conte. When he left Chelsea to join England, a disappointed Conte said, "It's a pity to lose him, I must be honest. He was helping me a lot." There is one standout coaching influence in Holland's career, though. To answer your question straight away, it's Mourinho, said Russell. England were the highest scoring team at the 2018 World Cup, scoring 75% of their goals from set pieces. But that meant Russell had to insist on committing bodies forward and taking risks, which invariably raised Holland's pulse on the touchline as a pragmatist. A few years ago, Russell reflected, "There was the odd occasion when Steve may have felt slightly uneasy because I committed 7 players to the penalty area and he wanted another man behind the ball." Asked about that quote, he laughed. "Mourinho is Steve's mentor and I never saw Jose committing 7 players to the box. Steve is almost like my second dad. I always wanted to please Steve, but I also wanted to be good at my job and I was paid to take risks when we needed to take risks. And I knew there were times he didn't like it, but I trusted myself. I trusted my decision-making and I trusted my tactical awareness when it came to attacking play and the set of pieces." I remember one time we were playing in Iceland in September 2020. It was COVID. We had to win that game and we had a penalty. Harry Kane had come off and I hadn't put up the second penalty taker. Raheem Sterling grabbed the ball. I was in charge of the penalty process. Steve and Gareth wanted to confirm that Raheem was down to take it. I said, "Yeah, don't worry about him." And he had been practicing, but it just went in. The two of them turned around and smiled. Russell left the England setup before Euro 2020. He worked for Aberdeen and subsequently took over at Norwich on a caretaker basis after working as part of the backroom staff at Carrow Road. "I remember when I got the job at Norwich for a couple of games, the first person I phoned was Steve," he said. "I said, I've got this job for a couple of games. Dean Smith has just left. How do I play this?" He just guided me through it. He's just an amazing man and yeah, I've got nothing but love for him. He's not everyone's cup of tea because he doesn't allow everyone in, but we built trust. Holland is a lifelong United fan, so helping guide the club back to the top of the Premier League would be even sweeter for him. "Apart from Glasgow Rangers, Man United is my favourite club," said Russell. "I've always wanted to be there, but I'm not there, so I'm glad that Steve is. He deserves every success at that club." Why Manchester United's £3.3 million signing did not make his debut this season. Diego Leon arrived at Man United last summer, but the defender did not make his debut in his first season at the club. Before Diego Leon travelled to Manchester last summer, he spoke to local journalists at an airport in Paraguay, saying, "I'm going to kill it in the pre-season, and within 1 or 2 games, I'll already be playing with them, the first team." You can't succeed in any profession without backing yourself, but Leon's bullish prediction did not come true at Manchester United this season. Leon was unveiled alongside Bryan Mbeumo, Matheus Cunha and Benjamin Sesko last summer, but he played exclusively in academy fixtures, and most supporters will have forgotten he was signed. Leon's first few months in Manchester were promising. He made a strong impression at Carrington and was handed a first-team squad number before the opening pre-season friendly against Leeds in Stockholm.